Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. Excuse me. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. What do we have for you on today's episode? We have for you a clip to watch from CNN, the mainstream media, who want you to believe that the merest blaming of the fuel crisis, the price crisis, the price increases across the board. It's not just fuel that's going up. It's across the board. But the reason why we focus on energy is because without energy, you don't have a civilization. Don't worry about economy. Before economy, you need your civilization. No energy, no civilization. So Biden's policies have, of course, objectively led, and not just since the start of Ukraine, before that, has led to an energy and global supply crisis. Yeah, but according to the mainstream media, if you dare level any criticism or blame at the Biden regime for the price increases, then you are engaging in misinfo, disinfo. You know, the usual labels and smears you get labelled with. But what angers me the most about this is that for the mainstream media to do that, to accuse you of that, to say that, they themselves are engaging in the very misinfo and disinfo they wax lyrical about every day, claiming is like the worst thing on planet Earth and they would never do it and that we all do it, when in actuality, of course, it's the other way around. And have you noticed that before the year 2016, these fact checkers and these two words, disinfo and misinfo, you never heard them. Only from 2016 onwards, yeah, when the light was shined, when the rock was pulled up, turned over that rock, the mainstream media rock, and you watched all these little wormy things all rush off. Oh no, that's misinformation. Oh, and they rushed off. So we've got this clip to watch. We'll jump into that now. If you haven't yet though, please like the video, subscribe to the Hoggcast, hit the notification bell, and share the video around. I also have a membership scheme which you can join. I have 9 amazing, beautiful members who honour and humble me that they became members of the Hoggcast. There's a join button next to the sub button and a link in the description. You can be member 10 if you choose, but of course you don't have to. Okay, let's go. Okay, so over to CNN.
Again today, $4.25 per gallon, according to AAA, and that's up by a staggering 60 cents in just 1 week. And while there is a lot of understandable anger and frustration over the pain at the pump, there's also a lot of misinformation going around about who or what is responsible. So let's, cut through the clutter. First, it's critical to understand that no one person or entity is in control of the price of gas. It's tethered to the price of oil, which is controlled by a variety of factors.
In many ways, that's true. However, have you noticed that, and before I continue, that can be applied to everything. What she's trying to portray to the audience here is what us conservatives have been talking about for a long time. The concept of a grey area. Nuance, things in the middle, yeah, and you can apply that with everything, even shock horror, the Ukraine situation, but that's another debate, right? That being said, as I was about to say a minute ago, have you noticed that during the Trump years, none of this applied, right? And it's amazing that these people, they act like you don't have a memory, they act like you can't remember what they've done. Trump was, and still is, even though he's been out of office now, 2 years? Tomorrow, she'll be waxing lyrical on TV about how everything in Ukraine is Trump's fault. Have you noticed how everything's his fault? There's no nuance. There's no grey area. Yeah? Have you noticed that? So she's going to try and fill your head. What she's going to try and do is move the goalpost. She's going to try and fill your head with all this stuff over here, yeah? She's going to say, look at this over here, look at that. Don't look here. That's what they're going to do. Don't look at Biden. Don't just stay away from Biden. Look over here. Yeah, it's a political sleight of hand. The left, and they have countless faults. They are masters at low cunning. The left, the mainstream media, they're the masters at insinuation and semantics, word games. Yeah. So let's continue.
Including supply from OPEC and non-OPEC countries, demand, trade, the financial markets. Now, let's get to some of the false claims that are circulating, including one that oil production here in the United States is somehow down. That's not true. The reality is the U.S. oil production is actually up from 20.
Oh, so what they want you to believe is that U.S. production isn't down. Oh, no, it's actually up. Right, it's always the opposite of what... Even Jen Psaki, she was asked about why aren't we producing more to cover the shortfall, yeah? And she said her response to that was that the oil companies were given permits to drill, but they just aren't doing it. As if, for example, if I give you a permit to drill in my front garden, doesn't mean you're going to strike oil. If you're given a permit to drill somewhere, right, what people call prospecting, doesn't mean you're going to find anything. But I'll tell you where they do know where the oil is. The place where you won't let it pump them. Alaska, for example, is dripping with resources. Resources, thanks to the federal government, that they're not really able to use, yeah? Look at the Keystone XL pipeline, which was shut down. So we're being told, we're expected to believe from CNN that even though pipelines are being shut down at home, and even though we've had to restart resupplying from abroad again, remember under Trump, in the final years of the Trump presidency, you were energy independent for the first time in a long time. Biden comes in and he deliberately, through executive order in more than one case, with all of the environmental stuff, just wipes energy independence away. Right? So what the Biden regime want you to do is to drill in the places where they know you won't find any oil. Even though, and at the same time, they're shutting down the Keystone XL pipeline. So, I know people don't like when I repeat myself, but just get your head around this. They want the prospectors to drill in places where the prospectors know they're not going to find any oil. But where there is oil, they shut the pipeline down.
2020. And as you can see here, in Trump's first year of office, the U.S. was producing 9.3 million barrels of oil per day. Well, now the U.S. is forecasted to produce 12 million barrels per day. And the experts...
So the experts, yeah. So you can see that they've put Trump... They used only Trump's last year, and they're using only Biden's last year. Why do you think that is? Yeah? They're trying to say, oh, well, look, things are better under Biden. Oh, you know...
say that production is on track to hit a new record next year. Another claim going around is that the United States is too dependent on foreign oil, but in reality, the U.S. actually produces much more oil than it imports. Last year, the U.S.
You're talking about the Strategic Reserve. I mean, I'm guessing that's what you're talking about.
Produced more than 11 million barrels of crude oil per day, and while importing around just 6 million barrels per day. For the last couple of years, the United States has been the world's top oil producer, topping Saudi Arabia, Russia, Canada, and China. A third claim is that the Keystone Pipeline, that had it been approved, it would help lower prices today.
It would. Reality. So look at this. Look, the reality. Take the word reality. Reality is real, yeah? To describe something as reality is to say it's real, yeah? It's reality. So she's saying under here, reality, quote, not likely. How can something be real if you don't even know it exists? How can something happen if you don't really know it's going to happen or not? Yeah? It's like saying, what this is, it's like saying that I will meet you next Tuesday, right? Even though I know that I'm not going to be free to meet you on Tuesday, but I still tell you, or if I don't know, I'm not really sure if I'm going to be free, yeah? It's unlikely. But I tell you I'm going to meet you anyway, yeah? And there's people, even in CNN's dwindling audience, the Twitterati, they will watch this and they will believe it, yeah? They will believe it. Okay, so what she's saying, and I always wonder about these mainstream media people, yeah, it's like, do they really believe the crap that they're saying? So everything else is that the idea of this piece of this fabrication, because this is what it is. It's a pantomime. Is everyone else's fault? Yes. Biden's fault? No. That's what this can be summed up as. It's, oh well, this and look over there and what about this over here? Yeah. If what she's saying is so true and that, you know, everything was so good, why did you cancel the Keystone XL pipeline? For what reason?
The reality here is that's up for debate, but unlikely.
There you go. And I'm quoting her here. The reality is that's up for debate, but unlikely. In other words, yes. What that statement she just said was cloudy, but mostly peaceful. So fiery, but mostly peaceful. You see what I mean? It just sounds like a weather forecast. This isn't news. This is a leftist forecast of what they want to happen and what they want you to believe. Let's listen to that moronic statement and get your head around this statement.
That had it been approved, it would help lower prices today.
Right, look, it's just such a smug face. Like, she's reading from a teleprompter. She doesn't know what the hell she's talking about, but she's going to believe it anyway. Right, listen to this.
The reality here is that's up for debate, but unlikely.
The reality is that's up for debate, but unlikely. And that's the reality. Something is extremely vague, but it's reality. Yeah, it's real. Just go with it, man. Yeah. Just who believes these fools, man?
The Keystone XL pipeline would have been an extension of a currently operating pipeline. It would have acted as sort of a shortcut, taking oil extract.
It would have acted as a sort of shortcut, right? The pipeline would have been like any other pipeline, even the pipelines that you have in your house to pump hot water around. It's much more efficient to have it flowing on its own. Yeah?
From the tar sands in Canada all the way to Nebraska. From there, an existing pipeline would transport the oil to refineries along the Gulf Coast, and this would have moved about 830,000 barrels of oil out.
So you notice how specific they're being about the length of the pipeline, where it's going, etc., etc. They're trying to confuse you. Yeah, they're trying to focus you on other things than what the actual issue is here. Yeah. So as I said at the beginning, under Trump, none of any of this mattered, right? Under Trump, it was orange man bad, yeah? Now, all of a sudden, there's all of these nuances that come into play, yeah?
Out of Canada every day. And while it wouldn't have just been U.S.-owned oil, proponents of the pipeline argue buying more oil from Canada is preferable to, say, Russia.
Well,
gas pipeline argue.
There's more than one reason why buying it from Canada would be preferential from Russia. And I know immediately the leftists and her, for example, she would immediately go to, well, it's a moral thing to do. But as ordinary people, we say, well, there's a practical reason. Hey, but guess what? Canada is currently under the Trudeau regime, and they're not very fond of oil either. And we saw the clip the other day of them laughing when asked about oil production and the rising prices of gas and energy. The representative from the Biden regime just laughed. Have you noticed that's all you get out of them? Whether it's Jen Psaki, Joe Biden, Blinken, any of them. If you bring an actual issue to them that doesn't involve Ukraine, they just laugh at you. They're like, well, what are you talking about? It doesn't bother me. That's the response you get. But look, I just wanted to show you this, man, because they really act as if you don't have a brain. They act like you don't have a memory, you don't have a brain, they act like you ain't paying attention, and in a way, that's understandable, because they live in an echo chamber, and the only people that they ever even communicate with are the drones who watch CNN, and that can lead them in their small pond situation to a worldview that everyone's just as stupid as your average CNN viewer, right? That's why they don't understand when someone who watches independent commentary channels seems to be able to outfox them on everything. Yeah, I'm not saying I'm outfoxing. I'm just saying that they get surprised by human beings that can think. It unsettles them. Yeah, it unsettles them. So this is speaking truth to power, is it? This is essentially state propaganda for the Biden regime. That's what it is. It's everyone else's fault, not his. Yeah. Right. I'll leave it there. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.